Hello and welcome to Art Conspiracy. I'm Amy and I want to talk to you today about gesture drawing. What is it? What is gesture drawing and how do you use it? How can you use it? And it's a pretty important element in art and in drawing. And it's a topic very near and dear to my heart. So let's get started. Oh, I'm going to do some demos toward the end. So put up with me talking for a minute, and then I'm going to actually show you some things. So let me share this with you. Okay. What is gesture drawing? Traditionally, gesture drawing relates to the figure, and it has to do with movement. It has to do with the essence of a form, the core, the fluidity, the spirit, and it's executed very quickly and very loosely. And you can see this is sort of a ballerina. I'm not sure where her head is. That's not important. But it's got light line, and dark line, and thick line, and thin line, and it's really beautiful. Just a very essential, quick rendering of this figure. Now here's a masterpiece. I'm not sorry, I don't know who this is. I think it might be Rembrandt. Anyway, it's beautiful. Old masters have been using this idea of gesture drawing as a way to sort of puzzle something out. Like up here, looks like the hand is moving because there's multiple lines. It relates to what we call a contour line too, which is a three-dimensional line, which is thick and thin and comes and goes, and sometimes it just completely disappears. And they're just a really beautiful line. The other thing that gesture line conveys so well is movement. And here's a figure in movement, and that's really great. Here's just animals, objects, figures. Gesture line is not just about human beings, but it's also about lots of other things can be used. Here's a bird kind of in flight, fluttering its wings, which is a wonderful example. The use of gesture line. This is also, I consider, to be gesture line. It's very loose, very quick, very spontaneous, and also interiors. Exteriors, buildings. Gesture line can be used for any subject. So it's not really about the subject. It's the approach to drawing and figuring something out, exploring a form and looking for the essence of the form or the spirit of the form. And this is where I want you to really expand your view of how gesture drawing is used, because it's not a style per se, and I'm going to repeat this later, but it's not a style, but it's a way of thinking. It's a way of sorting out your idea or your composition or how something's put together. It's a thought process in a lot of ways. It's exploring, not necessarily execution. I want to show you this. This is a scribble drawing. It looks like, I mean, I wouldn't call it a scribble drawing, but some people might. This is by the architect Frank Gehry. Now, granted, his buildings are pretty free form, a lot of them, but he is a world-renowned architect, an amazing architect. And I heard him speak once, and he was talking about how all his ideas sort of begin like this. In fact, not even like this, but he would pick up trash out of the trash can and crumple up some paper and crumple up a cup and tape it together. And he would start to conceptualize his pieces, his buildings, and they end up being super highly technical models and renderings, computer models of these incredible buildings. But he starts with gesture. He starts with, again, the essence of an idea, the spirit of an idea. But it's not about style. It's about trying to get somewhere, try to understand something and try to sort something out. And this is incredibly helpful to artists, regardless of your style, regardless of where you're going to end up. If you want to end up with a totally realistic drawing, that's fine. You still would benefit from starting with gesture. And when I mean gesture, I don't mean necessarily like loose, like scribbly loose, but light and then dark. And you go with the flow and you're are willing to make changes and modifications and move stuff around and sort. You're not trying to get the perfect line. You know, you don't have your pencil in one hand and your eraser in the other hand. You're ready to, you know, you just flow, get into the flow state. Anyway, this is really, really good. And it's good practice. Whatever you're going to end up doing, it's really good practice. So let me show you. Let me do a little demo, and I'm going to talk to you about some of the ways that gesture drawing is used. And I think you're going to find it really helpful. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Here's an object. This lends itself so well to gesture because it's this beautiful sort of snaky, the curl here, and look at this, very sensual. And I'm doing a lot of extra lines, and I go down here, and then at some point I may say, oh, okay, this is going to come forward, so this will be a little bit darker. Here's the shadow, and I'm sort of skating over the surface of this and figuring it out, and I'm overriding my initial lines, and I'm defining and carving and shaping, and it's a really beautiful, sensual experience to draw like this. All right, voila. And that took me, seconds, 20 seconds or so. Okay, now the other thing that gesture drawing does so beautifully is it helps you draw something that you don't really know how to draw yet. So when you're working in this way, you may say, okay, I'm not really familiar with a swan. So I'm going to say, oh, okay, I'm just very loose. Okay, look at that. There's the essence of the swan. But I can go way past that. I can say, oh, this is feathery, and then here, and I change my mind. Oh, there's something here, and I come up here, and I'm going to get thicker, and maybe there's some energy here, and I keep letting this evolve. And I'm holding my pencil away from the tip. I'm not holding it like in the writing position, sort of skating. And I start very light with the essence, and then I build up. And then I can slow down, and I can get kind of darker and say, oh, okay, this comes in front of this. And, I can refine as I go along, but I start really smooth, and I only choke up when I need, very specific control. Like, let's say I want to draw the eyeball, but that comes later. Stay loose. Loose is good for artists. Okay, the other thing, a very, very important thing that gesture line helps us do is fit things into our composition. Like here I have a picture. Let's say I want to have this chair. I don't want the legs sticking off the bottom, right? So I need to fit this chair in here. So here's my composition, and I often do this in a thumbnail, small drawing. You can see how big this is, about the size of my hand. Look, a little crooked. There we go. Okay, so I may say, okay, here's the laundry, and I'm going to work really light until I get everything on. So here's my laundry, and then here's some landscape back here. Now I want this chair to fit, so I'm going to say, oh, okay, I'm going to make sure, here's my legs, and here's my seat, here's the back of the chair. And then I'm going to move this bucket over. And see, moving the bucket over is something that gesture drawing lets you play with. Like, oh, no, I don't like that. Okay, I'm going to make it come down here. I override what I just did. And this little ghost of a bucket will disappear, okay, out of my thinking. And I go, oh, okay, I'm shaping my chair. It's got some rungs here. And then I'm going to connect these with a shadow. And then, oh, this fence. And I'm basically composing, and I'm allowing myself the liberty of changing my mind if I want to. I have this ghostly objects back here. Okay, I have a whole bunch of empty space. So here's some plants, and I'm thinking about what goes where. If I did everything hard and fast, it'd be very hard to move it. But this very fluid way of working, it really encourages you and allows you to change your mind about things. So this is another really great benefit to using gesture drawing. as the beginning of your thought process when you're working things out. So again, it's not style, it's approach, it's a technique. Okay, last but not least, I'm going to take a little bit of time. And another thing that gesture drawing so beautifully is it really forces you to simplify. Like there's a lot of information in here. Okay, I'm going to go back again to my thumbnail form. Okay, and I can do this on a bigger piece as well, but I'm going to do this little coffee cart. And I think, oh, okay, the coffee cart's the star of the show. So how do I want it? It's a big rectangle. Here's the wheel. Let me get that. Oh, there's a bicycle. There's a bicycle and there's the handlebars. And I'm going to, here's my, okay, and then it's fitting on pretty nice. There's the coffee sign, not being super careful about scale. And then I think here's my poles, which are going to be light. And maybe I need something over here. Maybe I'm just going to add a tree. And there's a building back here, which I may or may not include, but I like this little yellow light. And then check this out. I have a little signage. Here's a sign just suggesting. And then I have all these little shapes that are just suggesting cups and food and bottles of water. I love gesture drawing, how it can suggest something like that very quickly. Okay, and I'm going to keep going. I mean, this isn't a masterpiece, but by golly, I like it. It's back here. So gesture drawing allows me to sort things out in a way that is very, very meaningful. It also increases my speed and my flow and my pencil control, which is great. You're working light to dark. And sometimes you're working on something, you're not even looking at a source. Like we're saying, oh, okay, I'm going to do a flower arrangement. And you say, oh, I want, here's my flowers, and I'm going to have some leaves, and here's the vase. And then I'm going to have a big flower here and a big flower here, and maybe a smaller one here, and some leaves, and some stalks, and I'm just, some fell on the table, and look at this. I'm just designing in a way. And I'm also, I forgot to say this, I'm also, if I get dark on one side, I'm indicating that there's a light source, that the light is coming from over here. And so that's the dark side of the vase, and that's the dark side of the flower. And so gesture line can also indicate space and light source and the spirit of something. So there's a lot of benefits to gesture drawing. So it's not just about movement and the figure, it's also about composition, about how to hold a pencil, about exploring an idea, about understanding something you don't know how to draw yet, how it's made. It helps you have some vibration in your work where you have more than one line, which I think looks interesting. And if you stay with it, it can be a style. It can have a look about it. But even if you want to be ultra realistic, gesture drawing is good to use in your practice. So that's the video. I am teaching a 4-week class dedicated to gesture drawing. I'm going to really take it on. It's going to be fun. We're going to do every kind of subject, and we're going to do a lot of drawing. So you are welcome. I will put the information in the comments below, but try it out. Try it out. Get loose. It might feel a little uncomfortable at first. You got to let go, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing in art in general and in life. So thanks for watching. Amy at Art Conspiracy. See you later.